Today we're going to talk about gaslighting. Yesterday we talked about confusion, and on that spectrum of being slightly confused to being really confused and questioning a reality, gaslighting sits at this end of the spectrum. Specifically, it's when another person tries to convince you that their version of reality is correct and your version is wrong. They insist on questioning your thoughts, your memories, your experience of a situation. They're so fixated on their version that they're insisting that they're right, and they will not consider the fact that you may have experienced the situation differently. This is often used with people who have certain mental health issues, and they can use it as a mechanism to control you because the more confused you are, from on the spectrum of slightly to very confused, the easier are to manipulate. It's very important to understand gaslighting is somebody else's version of reality that they're insisting is true. And we can all reason that two people can have very different experiences within the same situation because we all see things from our own perspective. It is the case that one person's truth may be different to another person's truth, and one person's experience of a situation may be very different to another's. And if you're in a reasonable state of mind and not in the heat of an argument, it's quite easy to step back and to see and to ask, even, well, actually, what was your experience? And why did you feel like that? And I can see that if you thought that, then you interpreted it in such a way, then that's how you may be feeling. But when we go into the realms of gaslighting, there's none of that reasonableness. There's none of that wanting to see it from another person's perspective. It's very much driven by an individual's agenda, and they have a very specific reason to want to believe, to hold on to their version of their truth. Quite often, it may be related to erroneous beliefs they have about you. They may be looking for evidence. Oh, yet again, you've let me down because of blah, blah. And you're like, hang on, that's not actually what happens. But in their mind, because that's the belief they want to hold on to, they create a version of reality. They experience their reality in a very specific way. And they want you to acknowledge that their reality is correct, that you owe them some kind of apology for something you may or may not have said, for something you may or may not have done. They believe that's what's happened. They believe that you somehow have to make amends for something that's happened. It's very much part of their controlling mechanism. And on the sliding scale of confusion, it's at this end. And it can start making you question your reality. Because if they're telling you what you believe to be true is wrong, they can be very convincing. And a reasonable person would stop and think, well, hang on, you're very convincing, you're very sure of yourself. And you can question it, and you can fight back and say, actually, absolutely, definitely didn't. But that's all part of the game when it is gaslighting. They want you confused in a gaslighting scenario. When you're on the receiving end of their gaslighting, they want you arguing, they want you engaged in some kind of drama because it suits whatever agenda they have, consciously or unconsciously. And usually part of this dynamic is to make you wrong. They have to be right. They have such a fixated view of their version of reality, and they want it to be real so much. They don't want to listen to reason. They want it to be real. We have to step out of the game. And I would invite you today, as part of your workbook, if you've ever been in a gaslighting scenario, just write down how you felt at that time. And then moving forwards, when you start to feel that kind of a way, you may think, oh, hang on, am I in another gaslighting scenario? How we feel can really dictate what's going on and really flag a gaslighting scenario. And then when you realize, then you can employ the buzz that we're going to talk about in a minute. So maybe you have, or maybe you haven't experienced a gaslighting situation when someone's insisting that their version of reality is correct. And not only are they insisting it, but they want you to acknowledge, they want you to apologize for your version being wrong. They want you to buy into their version. Let's explore how that feels. It's going to be confusing. You'll be questioning, you may feel a bit fuzzy, you may feel a bit disorientated, because we anchor our day in experiences and in thoughts and things that have happened. And if you're being told that that didn't happen, then the context of your day can start to slip. I was doing this and then that happened and then this happened, but you're saying that didn't happen. But it can start to make you feel ungrounded. They can tell you that you had some kind of intention behind something. So they might take a situation, you said such and such, and you did it because blah, blah, blah. Well, no, I did it because I was just trying to tidy up. It wasn't, it, you may have a reason for doing something. The point is, they have a need to project onto you some sort of intention that wasn't there sometimes. So that adds to the confusion. And when we are confused, we're not empowered and we're more easily manipulated. So you might feel fuzzy, you might feel disorientated, you might feel tired, you might feel that you want to distract yourself by eating something or having a drink, just trying to take yourself away from the confusion. You may feel depressed, you might feel challenged, you might feel misunderstood. You can feel so many different things in the fog of gaslighting. So I'm just inviting you to write that down in your workbook. So when a situation arises, when your reality has been questioned, just jot down how you're feeling. Then the next time you feel that, it's a flag that perhaps, oh, this is another gaslighting situation. And you can acknowledge that perhaps it's happening again, and then you can begin to notice it. Then you can, when you flag that gaslighting is happening, you can use the buzz. My truth is different to your truth, and that's okay. And so that's the buzz, the thought word or phrase that for you to think about, not necessarily to share. It's not meant to challenge another person. It's for you to challenge. My reality is different to your reality, and that's okay. It's for you to use in your own mind. It's not for you to say to another, but it's to help you, bring you back to a place of clarity, to a place of neutrality. So if you find yourself in a gaslighting situation, then you can jot down what your truth is. And then you can say to yourself, well, my truth is different to your truth. And you can begin to be that mirror for yourself, that mirror of reality. You can't change someone else's opinion. If they are convinced that something's happened and they want to believe it for all sorts of reasons, wasting any energy trying to challenge that is pointless. All you can do is know your truth. My truth might be different to your truth, and that's okay. The buzz can bring you back to that place of neutrality, out of confusion, into stillness, where you don't have to control it, you don't have to prove anything, you don't have to try and make it right. It's a waste of time. They're not interested, they're so invested in their reality. All you can do is look after you. It's a complete waste of time trying to change them. All we can do is come back to this neutrality within ourselves. Repeating the phrase, my truth is different to your truth, and that's okay. Sending you lots of love. You've got this.